After a Léger poll found that 70% of Montrealers are in favor of a bylaw against insulting police officers, Mayor Soraya Martinez-Ferrada said she would support such legislation. The Léger poll was commissioned by the Police Brotherhood, the union representing SPVM officers. The Brotherhood commissions a Léger poll every year to check public opinion on different aspects of police work. This year's poll seems to have been drafted in response to a video that went viral in March, featuring a man making abusive and misogynistic comments to a policewoman at a traffic stop.
T'es mon esclave, genre si je veux, t'es mon esclave.
Martinez-Ferrada told CJAD 800 that she's in talks with the Brotherhood about a potential bylaw, though she says she has some concerns, like the possible burden on our justice system if people were to contest the fines they receive.
My worry is on making sure that whatever we do is very clear that will not be you can be able to contest it in court. If you do that, we're going to be swamped with in the court, and that's not what we want.
For the bylaw to not be contestable, it would have to comply with our Constitution, which guarantees freedom of expression, including our right to say mean things to other people. We can't assess the constitutionality of a bylaw without knowing the exact wording and how it would define an insult, but drafting an anti-insult bylaw that would be constitutionally compliant sounds like quite the undertaking.
So why can't we insult cops?
Well, technically, legally, you can insult cops. You can insult anyone. It is a crime to insult, not a crime to insult. It is a crime to threaten people, including threaten police officers. But there's a difference between insulting someone and threatening someone. And it's also already a crime to hinder the police's carrying out their duties. So
I think it's telling that she announced this on CJD 800, right? Mm-hmm. This is very much the CJD 800 mayor, right? You're catering to an audience of people who vote. You know, you don't want to appeal to everyone. You want to appeal to the people who are angry and they go to the polls no matter what, and they're always voting. And I think that is very much the 70% of people who don't want the police to be insulted. But is there also a danger when you're so focused on these issues of stepping into a pile of shit? I know that, this video was shocking. It's horrible. These things that were said to this police officer are totally unacceptable. It should not happen. But I remember in Denis Coderre's it's the only term. It felt like 2 terms. I remember Denis Coderre would often do something like that. He would react to whatever was in the news. So when Stephen Harper wanted to ban home delivery, we're actually going to do that under Mark Carney. So I guess, history, yay. But when Stephen Harper wanted to ban home delivery, Coderre showed up with a jackhammer. And he destroyed one of those community mailboxes, right, to make a big publicity stunt. And he did this, and it was very popular. And then a pit bull tragically killed someone. And he decided that he was going to react to that news with new legislation, and it ended up blowing up in his face. Mm-hmm. I don't necessarily think that this would, but it strikes me as the kind of project that won't really do anything and might end up just costing them a whole bunch of headaches down the line.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that's kind of, okay, so yes, there's 70% of, 600 people who responded to this poll who said that they would be in favor of this.
That's a very small, I know it's Montreal, it's not the entire country or province, but that's a small sample size.
It is, yeah, and then so obviously you have to kind of think about who tends to fill out these polls, right? So is that really representative of, the population of Montreal, right? But suffice to say, just because a political measure is popular doesn't mean that it's possible to do in a way that actually doesn't infringe our rights. And that's kind of the big question mark for me about this bylaw is she's saying that she wants it to not be contestable. So then therefore you have to make sure that it in no way butts up against our constitutional rights, right? And how are you going to do that? I don't see a way to phrase that in a way that is possible. So we're talking about this potential bylaw right now. I think that I could agree with you that I don't see it realistically actually materializing.
Yeah.
But sorry.
No. It's one of those things where maybe it's like a lot of things in politics. Do you really want to pass this bylaw, or do you want to have a conversation about passing this bylaw? Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And which, you look like you're in control. You look like you're taking action, like you're doing something productive.
Yeah.
And it's a lot easier to pass a bylaw that's this popular than it is to like fix the aqueducts
Yeah.
or
And do you like, I think there maybe some of the reasoning behind it is also wanting to be seen as being listening to and open to like what the police brotherhood wants, right?
because they're a major political force.
Exactly, right? Like we saw with Valérie Plante. Valérie Plante tried to
Yeah.
be even just like somewhat critical of the SPVM, and the Brotherhood came down on
Oh
her
man, they
really
declared
hard.
a fatwa on her. It was like, it was intense. I remember the time she was reelected, they did everything in their power so that could not happen. They still lost.
Yeah. So I wouldn't be surprised if for Ms. Martinez Ferrada, the like calculation here is, you know, I'll just kind of I'll show the police brotherhood goodwill that I'm willing to engage with what they want, but I don't know if it'll actually kind of
Well, in the States and probably here too, but I've heard this referred to as like the permanent campaign. You're constantly campaigning. Are you governing or is this a campaign thing? Is this something to win you more political support? And the problem with that is that campaigning is not governing, right? Like this law ultimately would affect almost no one, right? It's not, police are not being hurled, like having abuse hurled at them at that level every single day. I mean, if they were, we would see it. But we're not seeing it. And I think the reason is because most people are actually quite reasonable beyond, you know, complaining or trying to like talk your way out of a ticket. Most people are pretty afraid of and respectful of the police. I mean, it's Montreal. We set cop cars on fire when the Canadiens beat the Bruins in the playoffs. But 70% of the people polled also are against insulting police. So I really don't see who this is for and how it actually does anything politically, except confirm, as you just said, the position of power that the police brotherhood have to set the political agenda.
Yeah.
And their interests are not always our interests. The majority of Montreal police don't live on the island. So really, who's benefiting from this kind of like outside paramilitary force that does policing in our cities?
No, for sure. Like, I don't doubt that police do sometimes deal with insults and you know, like we mentioned,
it's
that
not a
video.
volunteer position though. Like, it's not like they're doing it out of the goodness of their hearts. I'm not saying, like, I'm sure everyone who signs up wants to help their community, but you're getting paid for it, and you're getting paid well, and you have a good you know, public pension and all of that. So I mean, it's to me, it's one of those, why are we doing this? Oh, because everything is politics.
And, you know, we have studies that show that, you know, the amount of abuse that nurses receive on the job is just like, I think that, you know, if we like, I think that the issue of like insults on the job, I think there are other jobs that are quite frankly just
the parking attendants,
I would
imagine they eat shit
a lot more
day.
susceptible than police officers, quite frankly. And so, you know, why put the attention on police officers when, you know, I think that there are other nurses, call center employees who deal with a lot more shit.
Yeah,
frankly.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, this is the police tend to align themselves with the business oriented political parties. So that wasn't Projet Montréal. It's very much this was Denis Coderre's party, right? And so also weirdly, the police didn't like him very much either, but I think nobody likes him very much. You know, with my apologies to Denis Coderre.
He unites us all in that one thing, you know.
We all agreed you will lose all the elections that you're in now, including the Liberal leadership race, which anyways, good old Denis Coderre. Yeah. I wonder, like, moving forward, how many more kind of pet legislative projects this administration is going to adopt, because I think the challenge of governing Montreal is just, I mean, you know, it's insane. It's hard. It's we had like a lefty mayor for the last 8 years and the cost of housing still doubled. So we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it's easy to float an idea like this, an idea of an anti-insult bylaw. Creating it, wording it in such a way that is like feasible is a whole other, like, that's a very delicate needle to thread, right? And then, you know, there's one concern that we didn't bring up that I think is important to bring up is like, who would this bylaw be used against?
Oh my God, overwhelmingly minorities and people of color and the poor and
people who are already over-policed.
And it's weird because, like, the police anywhere in North America, it's like the last true dictatorship is a cop on his corner. or her corner. You know, like they will decide if you're doing something illegal. They can trump up just about any reason they can find to criminalize what you're doing. Or like I remember during a lot of the student strikes and stuff, people were getting tickets for swearing or yelling loud, or like things that just, come on, are we really going to put this through the court system, which is already extremely crowded? And are we really going to open this up to legal contestations? And I mean, consulting with like constitutional experts is not cheap. And there are many other things we could be using constitutional experts for in this city. But I guess, again, I'm just a guy with a microphone. I'm not a city councilor.